of the Labour Party filming on my mobile phone while confined to my house. But we are in extraordinary times.
From the party of stability to causing earthquakes, from the party of business to a slapdown from the IMF.
Angela Rayner is finally gone. It says everything about Keir Starmer's weak leadership that he had to wait for a report before acting.
Angela Rayner's £17,000 golden handshake, the resignation that's left Britain asking hard questions. Good evening, UK Connors, and welcome back to the channel where we dissect the political machinations that shape our great nation. Before we dive into today's absolutely explosive story, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, what we're about to unpack will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about accountability in modern British politics. Now, let's get straight to it. Angela Rayner has resigned. Yes, you heard that correctly. The former Deputy Prime Minister, the woman who once stood as Keir Starmer's right hand, has finally fallen on her sword. But here's where it gets absolutely scandalous. She's walking away with a potential £17,000 golden handshake, and frankly, the optics are nothing short of catastrophic. Picture this. You're a hard-working British taxpayer. You just watch your energy bills soar, your mortgage rates climb, and your weekly shopping become an exercise in financial acrobatics. Meanwhile, a senior politician who's resigned in disgrace over unpaid stamp duty might pocket 17 grand of your money as a farewell gift. If that doesn't make your blood boil, you're either not paying attention or you've got the patience of a saint. Let's be brutally honest about what we're dealing with here. This isn't just about money, though £17,000 is hardly pocket change for most of us. This is about the fundamental question of whether our political elite live by the same rules as the rest of us, or whether they exist in some parallel universe where consequences are optional and accountability is merely a suggestion. The timeline here is absolutely crucial, and frankly, it stinks to high heaven. Had Rayner resigned just a few weeks later, when new regulations come into effect in October, she would have been completely ineligible for this payment. These new rules specifically state that anyone whose departure follows a serious breach of the ministerial code cannot claim their golden goodbye. The timing isn't coincidental. It's calculated, and it's precisely the kind of political maneuvering that makes ordinary voters lose faith in the entire system. Now, let's talk about what actually triggered this resignation, because the details are absolutely staggering. We're talking about an £800,000 beachfront property and unpaid stamp duty. In any other profession, failing to pay your taxes properly would result in immediate dismissal and potentially criminal charges. In Westminster, apparently, it gets you a severance package that most people won't earn in half a year. The Conservative response has been swift and, frankly, entirely predictable. Kevin Hollinrake, the party chairman, has stated quite bluntly that if she has any integrity, then surely she must decline any severance payment. It's a fair point, though coming from the Conservatives, it does carry a certain with a political opportunism. But even a broken clock is right twice a day, and on this occasion, they've hit the nail squarely on the head. Alex Burghardt, the Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, has been even more scathing, pointing out that Keir Starmer was too hesitant to get rid of her despite the situation becoming entirely untenable. This raises serious questions about Starmer's leadership and his willingness to make tough decisions when they involve his inner circle. We've seen this pattern before, political leaders who talk tough about accountability until it affects someone close to them. But here's where it gets really interesting, and I want you to pay close attention because this is where the rubber meets the road. The current rules allow cabinet ministers to receive a quarter of their salary as a farewell payment. It's a system that was designed, presumably, to provide some financial cushion for politicians transitioning back to private life. Noble in theory, perhaps, but in practice, it's become a mechanism for rewarding failure and misconduct. If you're not already subscribed, now would be an excellent time to change that, because we're diving deep into the systemic issues that this case exposes, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. The fundamental problem here isn't just Angela Rayner or even the £17,000. It's the entire culture of Westminster that seems to operate on the principle that political careers should be cushioned from the harsh realities that govern everyone else's working lives. When you or I mess up at work, particularly when it involves financial irregularities, we face consequences. Real consequences. We don't get paid to leave. Consider the broader context for a moment. Britain is facing what many economists are calling the most challenging economic environment in a generation. Public services are stretched to breaking point. Working families are choosing between heating and eating, and young people are being priced out of home ownership entirely. Against this backdrop, the idea that someone who's resigned in disgrace should receive a five-figure payout from the public purse isn't just tone-deaf, it's absolutely obscene. The stamp duty issue that triggered Rayner's downfall deserves particular scrutiny because it reveals something deeply unsettling about how our political class operates. We're not talking about a minor administrative error or genuine mistake. We're talking about someone who held one of the most senior positions in government failing to properly handle their tax obligations. If an ordinary citizen made similar errors with HMRC, they'd face penalties, interest charges, and potentially prosecution. Politicians, it seems, get severance packages. What makes this even more galling is the timing aspect I mentioned earlier. The fact that new rules are coming into effect in October that would prevent exactly this kind of payment suggests that even the government recognizes the current system is fundamentally flawed. But rather than doing the right thing and applying those standards retroactively, or at the very least morally, they're allowing someone to slip through under the old, discredited rules. Keir Starmer now faces a choice that will define not just his leadership, but his entire political legacy. He can instruct the relevant authorities to block this payment, demonstrating that accountability actually means something in his government. Or he can allow it to proceed, forever cementing his reputation as someone who applies different standards to his inner circle than he does to everyone else. The political ramifications here extend far beyond this single case. Labour came to power promising to clean up Westminster, to restore integrity to public life, and to end the culture of entitlement that had characterized previous administrations. How they handle this case will be seen as a litmus test of whether those promises were genuine or merely convenient election rhetoric. The Conservative criticism, while politically motivated, does highlight a genuine public concern. The accusation that there's one rule for Labour and another for everyone else will resonate with voters who are already skeptical about political promises and increasingly cynical about the entire system. If Labour allows this payment to proceed, they hand their opponents a gift-wrapped example of hypocrisy that will be used against them for years to come. But let's not pretend this is uniquely a Labour problem. The entire Westminster system is riddled with these kinds of perks, privileges, and cushions that insulate politicians from the consequences of their actions. From generous pension arrangements to speaking fees, from consultancy opportunities to directorships, our political class has created a system that rewards them regardless of their performance or conduct. Make sure you're subscribed because we're going to be following this story closely, and there are developments happening almost daily that you won't want to miss. The broader question this case raises is whether we need fundamental reform of how political careers end. In the private sector, gross misconduct typically results in dismissal without compensation. The idea that someone should be financially rewarded for resigning in disgrace would be laughable in any other context. Yet in politics, we've normalized it to the point where it's considered routine. The £17,000 figure itself deserves analysis. For someone earning an average British salary, that represents several months of income. For many families, it's a difference between financial security and genuine hardship. The casual way in which such sums are discussed in political circles reveals just how disconnected our representatives have become from the financial realities facing ordinary people. What's particularly frustrating is the missed opportunity this represents. Had Rayner voluntarily declined the payment, she could have transformed a resignation in disgrace into a statement about integrity and accountability. She could have demonstrated that public service means putting the public interest above personal financial gain. Instead, the silence on this issue speaks volumes about priorities and principles. The international perspective on this is also worth considering. In many other democratic systems, the idea that a politician could receive substantial compensation after resigning due to misconduct would be not just politically impossible but legally prohibited. The fact that it's even a possibility in Britain suggests we've become too comfortable with standards that would be unacceptable elsewhere. The timing of the new regulations coming into effect in October raises its own questions. If these rules are necessary and appropriate for future cases, why not for current ones? The arbitrary nature of the cutoff date suggests this is less about principle and more about providing political cover while allowing existing commitments to be honored. Keir Starmer's handling of this situation will be scrutinized not just by political opponents, but by the media and, crucially, by voters. His response will send a clear signal about whether his government is genuinely committed to raising standards or merely paying lip service to the concept of accountability. The broader Labour Party also faces a test here. Will they stand behind their leader if he blocks the payment? Or will internal pressure force a climb down? The party's response will reveal much about its collective commitment to the principles it espoused while in opposition. For the voting public, this case serves as a stark reminder of why political engagement matters. These decisions are made in our name, with our money, according to systems we ultimately have the power to change. But change requires sustained attention and pressure, not just periodic outrage. The media's role in this story has been crucial, and it highlights the importance of investigative journalism in holding power to account. Without persistent scrutiny, these issues would remain hidden behind the comfortable veil of Westminster Convention and political expediency. As we watch this story unfold, remember to stay subscribed because the implications will extend far beyond Angela Rayner or even this specific payment. This is about the kind of political culture we're willing to tolerate and the standard we expect from those who seek to govern us. The constitutional implications are also significant. If politicians can effectively time their departures to maximize their personal financial benefit, what does that say about their commitment to public service? It suggests a level of cynical calculation that should concern anyone who believes in principled governance. The precedent being set here matters enormously. Future politicians will be watching closely to see whether misconduct followed by resignation can still be financially rewarded. The decision made in this case will influence behavior across the political spectrum for years to come. What's perhaps most troubling is a casual acceptance of these arrangements by much of the Westminster establishment. The fact that substantial payments to disgraced politicians are considered normal reveals just how far removed our political culture has become from public expectations and basic standards of accountability. This isn't just about £17,000 or even about Angela Rayner specifically. This is about whether we have a political system that serves the public interest or one that primarily serves itself. The answer to that question will be determined by how this case is ultimately resolved. So here's what needs to happen next. Keir Starmer must immediately instruct that no severance payment be made. Not a reduced payment, not a delayed payment, but no payment at all. Anything less will confirm that Labour's promises about cleaning up politics were nothing more than convenient election rhetoric, abandoned the moment they became inconvenient. The British people deserve better than a political class that rewards itself for failure while ordinary families struggle with the consequences of economic mismanagement and political incompetence. This is our moment to demand those higher standards, and we must not let it pass. Keep watching UK Connors for continued coverage of this developing story, and make sure you're subscribed because the fight for political accountability in Britain is far from over. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and never stop demanding better from those who seek